Coming up next on Channel 6 television, Grassy Roots with Dr. Jim Carey and Beth Overgaauw. A show which will guide you down paths to healthier living by simply adjusting your eating habits. Stay tuned to Channel 6 for Grassy Roots.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Grassy Roots. I'm Beth Overgaauw here with Dr. Jim Carey. Hello, Jim.
Hi, Beth. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Aloha. Wonderful. Mahalo.
Today, we're going to approach some ideas that, again, maybe our viewers haven't considered, or if they have, they haven't given it a lot of thought, or we might see a lot more change in people's diets.
Well, what we're going to talk about today is healing and raw living foods. And this was the amazing thing to me in those four seasons I spent as director of Creative Health Institute. I saw people come in with a huge range of health challenges and in some cases dance out the front door after 2 or 3 weeks, just healed. But people came in with, diabetes. We say diabetes is easy. It takes about 2 weeks to be off your insulin for most diabetics. Asthma takes 24 to 48 hours on a living foods diet, and you're not using the inhaler. You don't need it. You don't have another asthma attack. I know people that say, I haven't had an asthma attack in 15 years because they became a raw fooder. Other things, of course, take longer to heal. Cancers typically take about a year. Early stage MS, I've seen that just even reverse the brain damage from the attacks. Fibromyalgia, lupus, colitis. You could go down at PMS. It just goes right down the list of health challenges in today's society. And it really comes down to you didn't get sick overnight, so your body doesn't cure itself overnight. But when somebody goes on to a raw living foods lifestyle, the body heals itself. So
now, why is that?
You see, and I want to make a point here that I'm not talking about cures. I'm not talking about miracles. I'm not talking about raw foods cure anything. I'm saying that the body heals itself when you put good material into it. And that basically, aside from penicillin, certain infections, there's a few things that drugs really work for, but for most things, all you need to do for your body to heal itself from your health challenge is to put good material into it. Because the body is this wondrous, miraculous, self-healing machine, but when we're putting processed foods and pollutants and herbicides and pesticides and all that non-organic stuff in our body, that right off the bat puts a big load on the body to get it out again. Every time you take a breath of air, you're inhaling toxins. Okay, we call it air pollution. You're not going to get away from that one. But the body can deal with it if we don't put so much into it. And that's where living foods come in. And you said, why is that? And I had to sort of finish this sharing thing. Because, the reason I went back to Creative Health the second year, the reason I spent 4 seasons, ended up as business manager, executive trustee of the nonprofit foundation, program director, business manager for the years I did. And the reason I do this today is a woman comes in with a tumor on her foot. She'd had this tumor for 7 years. She'd been to something like 19 doctors in 3 states. And they'd reached the point that, we'll just amputate your foot.
Oh.
She was at Creative Health Institute for 3 weeks. I helped carry her wheelchair in, okay? At the end of 3 weeks, she had donated her walker, donated her wheelchair, and she literally danced out the door because the tumor was gone.
Wow.
After 7 years and all the doctors. The stories like that go on and on. I get thank you emails annually from Peggy and Richard in Montauk, New York. Richard had sudden onset adult diabetes, and Peggy had early stage MS. So they did a lot of research. They came to Creative Health for Richard's diabetes. And yes, in 4 days, he was off the pills. He wasn't on insulin yet. And he's been diabetes-free with a perfect blood sugar for, it's at least 3 years. It might be going on 4, but it's at least 3 years. I get an email at least once a year from him talking about how great we're doing. And the unexpected bonus was Peggy had early stage MS. She's not had another MS attack. And she personally feels that the damage from the earlier attacks has repaired itself. And that's just 2 out of hundreds of people. Rheumatoid arthritis. Chantel came from Zimbabwe. She was 26 years old. She had rheumatoid arthritis, taking heavy-duty medication since she was 16. In 2 weeks, she was off the medication. She felt great. A year later, she had a baby. The doctors had told her she would never marry. I'm sorry, a year later, she married. 2 years later, she had a baby. She's got 2 children now. She's moved to Rwanda. She stays in touch. Why? Because they think I did something. I did nothing. It was Dr. Ann's teachings, and actually they did it for themselves by changing the way they ate.
So most people that come to the Institute have tried all the other standard ways to deal with their
by the time we get them, they've
and
already got a collapsed immune system from chemotherapy. Medical science has given up on them, and they still recuperate in the vast majority of cases. In 99% of the cases, the body can still heal itself. Alzheimer's, I've got some videos on rawdoctors.com about some friends of mine from Creative Health that have been taking food to his mother in the nursing home, and she is 5 years with Alzheimer's, and she's making this miraculous comeback. The nurses don't believe it. It's just a coincidence. And she's overcoming her Alzheimer's.
And this gets back to when you use the green smoothies, the wheatgrass juice, which we will talk about later, the raw vegetables, that your body does not have to spend as much time processing the food. Your pancreas is, and your colon and your
the digestive
tract and
enzymes,
everything
just the fact that digestive enzymes are in the food take a lot of work off your body, as much as 8 hours a day. But the other thing we do is put a lot of stress on our bodies by processing out all the chemicals in those foods.
Oh, yeah.
When you read the back of that label and you can't pronounce it, I used to say if I can't pronounce the word, I shouldn't put it in my body. Now, I think if it's got a label on it, I shouldn't put it in my body.
Okay.
I love it when the label says, contains grape juice. You know? But let me share my personal thoughts and a lot of my research on how disease works. You know, when people get ill, that they say, oh, my mother had breast cancer, I'm going to have breast cancer, etc. Consider that our DNA is this helix. I think everybody's seen the picture of it. And when we stress our bodies through work, environment, diet, lack of exercise, etc., all these things that stress our body, the DNA actually tightens up. Now, I take this nice piece of embroidery thread here. It's nice and smooth. And when I start twisting this, as you twist this tighter and tighter, you'll see where the strands start to fray. See that there in the light?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, consider that's your DNA. And as you stress your DNA, genome pairs start to shut down.
Oh.
Well, they just shut down. They collapse and they shut down.
Oh.
And when a certain gene shuts down, that's the healthy gene for your breast. That gene shuts down and you develop breast cancer. Okay. Now, the genetic component of disease is the fact that if your mother had breast cancer, that's probably the genome pair that's going to shut down first for you. The average American has 6 bouts of cancer in their lifetime. But because the body is a miraculous self-healing machine, the body heals those and we often don't know it. Okay, we go through these cancer incidents without even knowing it because the body was healthy enough. When we stress our body enough, it suddenly develops into symptoms and the tumors and all the horrible things we hear. For somebody else, it may be prostate cancer, whatever. Now, what happens with the body is when we start, And the easiest way to de-stress the body is start putting better food in it.
Right.
And that actually de-stresses you more than changing your job and all the other things that I say, you know, if saving your life means selling the house, quitting the job, moving to a smaller place, and becoming an at-home father, then I like that idea, at-home father. I was always the working father. Then those are all the right things to do, but the quickest and easiest thing you can change overnight is your diet. And what happens is that thread, it starts to unwind and go back to the natural helix. Now, unlike this thread that I can still see the frizzy part against the light, unlike the thread, the body will heal itself. And those genome pairs will heal itself because every molecule in your body, except in your bones, is replaced every 6 months. And therefore, all that DNA is replicating, and there is the opportunity for it to heal. The bones, depending on who you read, between 6 months and 2 years. But let's just take an average and say within a year, everything in your body has been replaced. Therefore, if you've been putting good building blocks in with for that replication to take place, that healing will happen. And Mary Lou worked at Creative Health Institute. She came in as a guest. She had breast cancer, and we don't have diseases. We have health challenges.
Okay.
We get in the psychology of disease. I don't possess my disease. I am overcoming breast cancer right now. So I said, "What's your health challenge, Mary Lou?" She says, "Breast cancer." I said, "Oh, that's easy." Sure enough, 1 year later, she goes to the doctor, and she's cancer-free. And her best friend, Vonda, who came in at the same time. Vonda goes back to the doctor, it was maybe a year and a half, but the same thing, cancer-free. In both cases, the doctor says, "Oh, well, you must have been misdiagnosed."
Oh.
And she says, "Well, can I have my medical records?" And they go, "No," because she wanted to document this on the website and things.
There's story after story.
Yes, I can go on
Yeah.
for weeks. That's what chidiet.com/blog is about, rawdoctors.com. That's what Grassy Roots is about, is sharing just a few of these stories.
And we could go into, I guess, how this has all evolved, that people got away from eating healthy food and started depending more on modern science and modern medical practices.
We're not doing anything my great-grandmother didn't do,
Right.
or my great-grandmother didn't say. It's just that we laughed at her back then, and now I realize how right she was. But a wonderful example is this mission that I work with in Kaduna, Nigeria, and it's Prince Fidelis Bartholomew Udamaga that runs the mission. And he has become a Wigmore raw foodist over the years, and the whole village has changed from diseased and crippled and all this to one of the most vibrant villages in the area, to the point that we recently had a conference with the pastors of 7 surrounding communities, and he shared the living food message. Because what happened in Africa was, in 3 generations, we taught them that the only good food comes in cans.
Yeah.
And they have all the same standard American diseases that come. The SAD, the SAD diet, is also the standard American disease. As the people went raw and started gardening, they had good water in the village already. They discovered that mom could stay home to tend the garden was more valuable than mom working. Therefore, the kids didn't have to go to daycare anymore. The kids stay home. They're getting sunshine, exercise. No, they're still going to school, but they're not in school from before dawn until after dark. Actually, how we started this is we started feeding living foods to the kids in the daycare center.
Oh, okay.
We had 32 children in daycare, and the kids, and we're feeding them 2 and 3 meals a day. And the kids started coming home happier, more energetic. And the parents said, "What are you doing to our children? And whatever you're doing, don't stop." And then the parents adopted it. So this has been ongoing for almost 5 years now. And it's a miracle transformation in Bartholomew's own words. And as the local prince, he takes it personally. And because in that country, the king and the king's son, they give everything they have to their people. They're not the ones that live rich and famous. They're probably about the poorest people in the village because they're not rewarded by material things. So,
Interesting.
matter of fact, I have a film strip on that, and I'll put it on GrassyRoots.com.
Okay.
And it'll be the Kaduna village in Nigeria. And you can see the people for yourself.
So today, when we cook, when we do our food prep, it's hard to get away from that word cook, but when we get to our food prep segment, if we mentally start thinking this is not just something to keep me alive, it's something to keep me healthy.
We can almost talk about healing the temple.
Yes.
If the Bible says that the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, so am I going to throw garbage in the temple? Or am I going to bring in good offerings? And that's a way to think about it too.
Yeah.
Okay. So what am I going to put in my temple today?
Okay.
And like I say all the time, and this ties in, is I'm raw when possible, organic when practical, and I pray over the rest. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you. And stay tuned. We'll be right back with some food prep ideas.
Stay tuned for more Grassy Roots after these words from our sponsors. Want to learn more about a raw living foods lifestyle? There's a wide collection of videos on the subject at ChiDietVideos.com. You can find a video on any subject that suits your interest and your budget, including rare footage of Dr. Ann Wigmore's raw living food lifestyle programs. This knowledge could change your life. Check out ChiDietVideos.com.
One of the best things terrorists could do is just build more fast food restaurants, maybe add another pharmaceutical company, have a couple more infomercials, and encourage people to eat the way they eat now. And everybody's going to be dead in 100 years. They can just walk right in, don't have to do a thing.
Superstars, large fry, Big Mac, Coca-Cola, go on, man. Pick your poison.
1/4 of what you eat keeps you alive, and 3/4 of what you eat keeps your doctor alive.
I used to get high for a living, eating all the bullshit food they sold me.
Cancer rates going up, heart disease going up, stroke going up.
We're poisoning ourselves with highly processed, nutrient-depleted foods.
One of the major problems is what we do to the soil and the air and the water and everything we take in our food.
We, for whatever reason, decided we're going to spray everything with every kind of pesticide, herbicide, larvicide, fungicide. We decided we're going to genetically modify things we don't know anything about. Can we actually improve what has already been created? And the answer is maybe, but not the way we've been doing it.
If you want to know what's wrong, look down at the table. It's staring back at you.
Think of it as chronic malnutrition, because that's what's going on.
But if we think we're going to go to the doctor and get a pill for everything, we've missed the whole point. We have been taught our whole lives to be consumers of modern medicine, which is pharmaceutical medicine. Good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars.
Now, the drug industry has every right to make money, no question about that at all. The ethics, I think, need to be very closely watched.
What the pharmaceutical companies are doing may not necessarily be in the interest of our population.
You can be as sincere, and you can be sincerely wrong.
Approximately 106,000 Americans die from pharmaceutical drugs each year. And these are people who took the medication as directed.
There's a lot more turning to alternatives because what's being done beforehand doesn't work.
There is no magic bullet, but there is a lifestyle change that reverses serious chronic disease. It's cheap, it's simple, it's safe, it's effective.
The solutions are here. They've always been here. Every single person in the world, every culture, every language, every person in the world knows it. You are what you eat. Food does matter.
It's a choice. You don't have to be sick.
For a full-length DVD copy of Food Matters, go to GrassyRoots.com/food.
You're not going to cook anymore? How will I live?
I didn't say that I wasn't going to cook for you anymore. I said that I wasn't going to cook the vegetables anymore. And I said we're going to cut back on the red meat for a while.
Where in the world did you get this idea?
I've been reading some of the articles that are posted on rawdoctors.com, and they make a lot of sense. You've got aches and pains, I got high blood pressure, and it's time that we did something about our health. So, this is what I'm going to do. Come on, do it just for a little while, sweetie.
To learn what Susan has learned and more, visit rawdoctors.com. And now, back to Grassy Roots on Channel 6 TV with Beth Overgaauw and Jim Carey.
So, what are we up to today?
I've been saying that there is a raw food substitute for every food out there. Okay. And we're pretty much sticking with the quick and easy. Okay. But sometimes you want to have the fancy feast. Okay. Saturday night with the family, grandma's coming over, and she has no idea what you've been feeding the kids. Or more likely, it's your daughter's coming over because she has no idea about all this weird stuff you've been feeding the grandkids. Okay. And that's how it's happening in today's world. Is grandma is taking interest in this. So we have some recipes that take a little more food preparation time than my quick and easy stuff.
And frankly, you know, I've enjoyed the smoothies, and I liked the pizza that we had. But I am ready for variety, more and more and more.
How about spaghetti dinner?
Sounds perfect.
Okay, spaghetti dinner. Now we're going to combine, and that's the neat thing about what we're doing here. In this episode, we're going to combine making 2 different kinds of spaghetti noodles.
Okay.
And then we're going to make a sauce for our spaghetti.
Okay.
Which also turns out to be a great dip for crackers. Okay. For sitting around and watching football on TV.
Right.
Because that's how these things cross over. And one of the secrets of doing this is when you're doing something fancy, it's just like your mama said about her vegetable soup when you were a kid.
Right.
We were talking earlier. We're on the 3rd day of reheating it because the spices mingle. It's the same thing with raw foods. If you stick this stuff in the refrigerator, 2 and 3 days down the road, it's actually better.
Right.
So you make spaghetti dinner tonight, okay, with a pesto sauce, and it's really nice. And then that's for Friday night. And on Sunday afternoon, when the guys sit down for football, you bring out the green smoothies. I'm not kidding. I'm serious. Ask Otis and Cletus. You bring out the green smoothies and the pesto dip because you made a whole bunch of pesto dip. Okay, so I have here a spaghetti squash.
Right.
And, you know, when I became a raw fooder, I didn't know any of this stuff, okay? So girls know this. If you just root in here with a fork, you can get these to come out as noodles, right?
Right.
Okay, show me how.
Of course, when I've done it in previous times, I've warmed up the squash first, and it still comes out in noodles. But so this is raw, and it's a little more fibrous, I guess you could say.
And and this has been cold and refrigerated. It's not fresh out of the store.
All right.
And when I was at Brenda Cobb's Living Foods Institute, some of the students really had the technique. And these things would come apart in long strands.
Yeah, well, that would be, another way would be to do this action.
I think that's what Cynthia was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember somebody was.
Yeah.
And there's a technique to it.
Oh, we're getting it now.
Yeah, they were fresh in season. We're doing this in the springtime with last fall squash.
Yeah, and that's one thing nice about spaghetti squash, though. It keeps a long time, you know.
Yeah. That's what we used to call root cellar vegetables.
Yeah.
But you can see where this is going to make spaghetti noodles. This will work.
Probably should keep the same direction all the time, and I've deviated. I went 2 different ways. Tastes good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, this tastes real good. And that was just raw out of the shell. I have to explain that we found this in the refrigerator. It was left over from one of the other cooking shows here at the station. And I'm like, hey, everything's an ingredient.
Oh, yeah.
So this was rather spontaneous today.
Oh, yeah. And it's always good to use it.
You have a lot better technique at that than I would have.
You think?
Yeah. Well, you're getting it. So I think we get the point here, is that if they're fresh, they scrape easier. And as you can see, I mean, that looks fine for a spaghetti base.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, if you taste it, it tastes like pasta. That's gonna work.
It's good.
But let me show you another trick, because we'll we'll make our spaghettis first. Let's move this out of the way. We'll make our spaghettis first. And that's one way to make pasta.
Right.
But another way is with the zucchini. Now, you know what they say about people that don't have lots of zucchini in the fall?
No.
They don't have any friends.
I've not ever heard that.
Because how come, living out where I do in the country, you come home, you've been gone all day to the store, which where I live, if you're going to run up to the store, you're gone all day. And there's a shopping bag full of fresh zucchini on the porch. And you call your friends and you say, oh, is that from you? And they're like, oh, no, not me. Because everybody's got so many zucchini in the garden, they're giving them away. Turns out they're great for making pasta.
Okay.
Now, there's two ways to do this. When I get fresh zucchini from my friends, and I know where it came from, I give them a good rinse, a little rub with a vegetable brush, and I take them, skin it all, and you can tell we've been experimenting with this. And they fit on here, and you just start turning, and look how it comes out.
Beautiful. Look at that.
And I'm fine with noodles that have the green.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's fine. But
and they're really long. Somebody can have fun sucking that
oh
up.
yeah, wait till we do the other one. So the other way to do this is like I did on this half here. I put this on the potato peeler and took that skin off. Okay, and it's that's like when I was gonna say when Grandma's coming over for supper. But it's more like in today's world, Mom's doing all this weird raw food stuff for the grandkids, and Mom and Dad are coming over to see what's all this stuff Granny's doing. So to make your noodles really look like noodles, you do it without the skin. And look at those.
And you know, zucchini, yeah, they're beautiful.
Look how long they are. Suck that one down. Remember Lady and the Tramp?
They don't slide quite as easy as a spaghetti noodle, but they're not a heavy flavor, which lends itself to a sauce.
Oh yeah, and you can do subtle sauces. And woo-wee. Try doing that on your Pasta Express. I hope I didn't step on a brand name there.
And they can find these appliances on the internet?
Right, this is called a spirulina. Well, I'll put it on grassyroots.com under product reviews. But, there's another kind. It's made by the same company, Solidaco, but if it spirals down like that, it takes a lot of elbow grease. That one's about $25 with shipping. This fancy one with the side spiral, it's about $35 with shipping.
Right.
And I think the reason it's easier is it leaves this core. Okay. And, well, matter of fact, here's another core I did earlier. And I usually just top it up and throw it in, the pasta, but you had a good point. That's a tree for decorating.
Yeah, it's something to decorate with, a little palm tree. Or turn it upside down and stick something else to it with toothpicks. It's a base.
Yeah, it's decorating. I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah. And that's how you get the grandkids involved with raw foods. You make it fun, you make it exciting, and you make it easy. This is fun for the kids.
It really is. And this particular spiral slicer came with different blades too, so you can play
and
with
it comes with several different blades. I'd never even tried the other ones. The one that was in it when I got it, it pops out for easy clean. They're just a nice machine, and that's what I keep saying is this stuff doesn't have to be expensive. This is a $35 appliance, and you could do it with a knife and a lot of carving. But you know. Aesthetics are aesthetics, and that is such a beautiful noodle.
Yes, it is.
So I think that's a good investment.
So we're going to make the sauce next?
Now, the sauce, as I said, is going to also be our chip dip for our flax crackers, or all the different cracker recipes that you've been experimenting with. So for Sunday at the game, when you bring out the flax crackers and the green smoothies, and they go, "Where's the?" and you say, "We ain't got none of that. This is Dry County." You have this nice pesto dip.
Right.
So we're going to clean this up, and we'll be back in just a minute, and I'll be right back.
All right.
Looking for a comprehensive guide on the subject of the raw foods lifestyle? Susan Shang has written an encyclopedia on the subject, The Live Food Factor. This comprehensive guide to the ultimate diet for body, mind, spirit, and planet covers every possible factor related to the subject. This compilation has received rave reviews by those in the raw foods movement. Visit www.livefoodfactor.com for your copy. The Live Food Factor by Susan Shank.
When truth rings, curiosity sings. Finding yourself raw curious? Dr. Ann Wigmore's Raw Living Foods Lifestyle Home Study Program has the answers. Check out SheDiet.com and satisfy your raw curiosity.
And now, back to Grassy Roots on Channel 6 TV with Beth Overgaauw and Jim Carey.
Oh my goodness, what have we got now?
Oh, well, I just chopped up a whole zucchini. We're going to make that pesto I promised you.
Okay.
But, you know, it's finely diced and I could use the food processor. But I'm still recovering from the food processor injury a couple shows ago. Because I picked it up by the blade. And, you know, I'm always thinking in terms of entertaining the kids and the grandkids with this. So we already had the spirulina, spiralizer, super duper, whatever the brand name is. I just spiraled up the rest of the zucchini like this, and then I just proceeded to chop it up smaller.
Right.
So it just took a couple minutes, and I don't have to clean the food processor, and the spiral thing was already dirty, so it was easy. Now, this pasta sauce is also going to be our dip.
Okay.
Okay. So we can always, you know, because of raw recipe, we can always make two versions. For example, I like garlic. Okay,
Right.
and the guys probably like garlic with their chips and dip or their their cracker thing. But for a spaghetti sauce, the kids especially probably don't take much garlic. Okay. But I'm going to make this for the crew here. This is a garlic clove. Okay. And a lot of guys open up a piece of garlic and it opens up to like a chunk like this and they think, oh, that's not a garlic clove. You pull the paper off and these open up smaller and smaller. When you get a piece this size, let me see if I get some contrast here. You get a piece that size, that's a clove of garlic. Okay. Now, you can mince this up. Yes, getting the paper off is good for the taste. Thank you. And you can mince this up with a knife, and the smaller the better. But if you really want to get the flavor out of the garlic, and I'm not a big one on tools, but I learned this at Creative Health, is a garlic press. One of these thingies here, and you drop your piece of garlic in there, squeeze it over the bowl. We're going to make our pesto in. And I get not much juice out of there, but that's okay. It's really concentrated garlic juice.
And then do you take the pulp
I get
too?
every bit of it. I get every bit of that. I even get the pulp out of here.
Oh, okay.
In other words, I'm having garlic, but boy, that's finely minced.
Right.
I'm getting this out of the my raw recipe book, and it's on page 103. I've got my medium-large zucchini, diced very fine. I got my garlic clove. I got a 1/4 cup of coarsely torn or chopped fresh basil. Fresh is always best, but if I have basil in the house at all, I'm lucky, and fresh only lasts so long.
Right.
So I buy these big, I don't know, 1 or 2 pound bags of organic dried basil. It's already powdered or leafed, whatever. And I fill that little bottle that you buy at the store. Costs 3 or 4 of these to get that bag. I just keep filling that up, and there's my 1/4 cup of basil. Basil Rathbone. Remember him?
Yes.
Yeah, 1920s, black and white movie star. And I got my basil, pine nuts. Now, the recipe says 3 tablespoons. That's 5. I measured them.
Okay.
I did measure them, you know. I love pine nuts.
Okay.
And again, these recipes are guidelines to get you started.
Yes.
When you're making a cake, the amount of baking soda is important because you're doing a chemical reaction.
Right.
When you're doing raw foods, you're dealing with flavors. So if you got a flavor you like a lot, like I like garlic, and I like pine nuts, so I had 2 cloves of garlic in there.
Do you happen to, just a little taste of nostalgia, do you remember the woodsman that first introduced the concept of eating pine nuts? It was on TV.
Oh, Yule Gibbons.
Yule Gibbons. I tell you what, I thought he'd lost his mind. I didn't know you could eat anything from a pine tree.
You'll give in. And the jokes that went around about that. So you would think that you would just stir this up, but you know you got to get the juices going on this.
Right.
What you need is a club or a mortar. I happened to discover that the rolling pin from those other cooking shows
works too.
Yeah, they're really handy around here if you take the handle off.
Ooh, doesn't that smell good? Mmm.
What you want to do is mash this down until you got
juiciness,
juicy paste. And as a variation, what I like to do with this, I like to take a tomato. Get that food processor there, bring that food processor
right
here. This isn't the way I put it in the book, but this is the way I like to do it. Okay, so we got the food processor blade and one tomato. Oops, knock that base on, then the top. That's where pulsing is sometimes push that down. Yeah, nice safety feature. I don't have to worry about you pulsing me. It won't go. It doesn't matter. I got the lid off. It's almost tomato juice.
Yeah, it is.
So this is sort of like going out and having a clam sauce.
Yes.
Which is pretty dry. That's why I like to add the tomato in, and then mix all that together.
Smash it a little more.
And where'd my fork go? Here it is. And depending on how you want your dip, I mean, that's the recipe. That's
right
your
there,
spaghetti sauce.
Well.
But you know what?
What?
You want to think of this like traditional spaghetti sauce, not some weird old raw vegan thing, right?
Well.
Let's put 2 more tomatoes in there.
Okay.
That's why I say you make these recipes come out the way you want them to come out.
It smells heavenly. You know, I think I need to taste it.
Okay. Are the bleeds still in there? Yes.
Mmm. It's good.
What would you like more of?
I think tomato's a good choice. Garlic.
More garlic? We can do more garlic.
That's my spoon. This can be your spoon.
I brought an extra clove. Actually, that was my guacamole clove,
I know.
but we got a whole thing of garlic over there. It wasn't organic, but you know, organic when practical, raw when possible. Pray over the rest.
Okay.
Just
a little bit more in there.
Yeah, the pulp.
Now, if you really wanted a creamy sauce out of these same ingredients, you could puree it in a blender or
food processor would probably be a nicer choice, easier to get out and stuff, but either one.
I heard it click.
Okay, now not all of this goes in here, and Jim tries not to cut himself open again on the processor blade. Save some for the guacamole, and that should come out looking more like a traditional
pasta
sauce. And now over here, I have my bowl of wonderful pasta.
You want to put it all on there?
No, that's our dip for Sunday too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we're going to do half of this, and half later we'll
I forgot.
Throw a little of that plastic wrap over it, and let it sit in the fridge and marinate. And the spices really will. This is the kind of recipe that the spices really will get better over time.
Yeah, and it's served cold.
Control? I'll stop messing.
Do you want a bite? I brought that spoon for you. Take a taste. Is that enough, you think?
Yeah, we're going to need lots of dip on Sunday.
Okay, one more bit right there.
Mmm.
Too much garlic? Perfect.
Perfect. Bring on the pine nuts.
All right.
And when it comes around to me at the table, I'll sprinkle a few more pine nuts on mine.
That's lovely.
Isn't that a nice?
And I really like the pine nuts in it too.
Yeah.
All right.
Stay tuned for more Grassy Roots after these words from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Carey, and sitting in front of me is Dr. Ann Wigmore's Raw Living Foods Lifestyle Home Study Program. Dr. Ann's program has been taught for over 50 years around the world at a half a dozen institutes. Normally you go, you spend 2 weeks, and you learn to do the program. However, when I was director of Creative Health Institute, I found that after you go home, you've been home for 6 months, a year, all that knowledge starts to fade. There's a need for being able to refresh your memory and a need for keeping inspired. So, over the course of the last 6 years, I put together a home study version of Dr. Ann's program, and this is it in front of you. I know, it's a lot. It's a 304-page handbook. It covers everything from the kind of water to drink, through energy soup, to how you combine your foods. There's a 180-page recipe book that covers everything from a raw breakfast through a raw dessert after supper and everything in the middle. Even has Thanksgiving dinner, an all-raw Thanksgiving dinner with mock turkey. Her basic program is in this 10 DVD set right here. But as you get into it, you get into questions, and you know, it's always like about having a second opinion, about having more details, and that's what the rest of this program is. Over here we have the advantages of eating raw, a video I did, one by Paul Nissan, a couple by Victoria Butenko, including her famous one, Greens Can Save Your Life. That's a 3-hour video. I know it's Victoria's #1 seller. This is all part of the home study program. A couple videos on wheatgrass, a couple videos on sprouting and gardening, a number of videos about Rejuvelac, lightly fermented foods, and energy soup. A couple more Dr. Ann videos, her TV interview. These 4 here are all about the benefits of the lifestyle. This one called Program Review, for example, is an overview of the program at Creative Health Institute. Enzymes in food, living foods preparation, raw parenting, which is important to many people. Student testimonials, colon health, transitioning to raw foods, food combining with Dr. Pfeiffer. It's as thorough as I've been able to make it in the last 6 years. Oh, and I almost forgot, 2 of Dr. Ann's books on tape, read by a professional radio announcer, Steve Monkevitz, a naturopathic doctor that happens to believe in Dr. Ann, so that shows in his voice. I mean, that's a 5 CD set, the other's a 3 CD set. This is the most thorough thing you will ever see to learn about Dr. Ann's Raw Living Foods Lifestyle. It's available at shediet.com, and actually, when you go to the website, you'll find there's even more bonuses over and above this. Thank you.
Looking for a comprehensive guide on the subject of the raw foods lifestyle? Susan Shang has written an encyclopedia on the subject, The Live Food Factor. This comprehensive guide to the ultimate diet for body, mind, spirit, and planet covers every possible factor related to the subject. This compilation has received rave reviews by those in the raw foods movement. Visit www.livefoodfactor.com for your copy. The Live Food Factor by Susan Shang.
You're not going to cook anymore? How will I live?
I didn't say that I wasn't going to cook for you anymore. I said that I wasn't going to cook the vegetables anymore. And I said we're going to cut back on the red meat for a while.
Where in the world did you get this idea?
I've been reading some of the articles that are posted on rawdoctors.com, and they make a lot of sense. You've got aches and pains, I got high blood pressure, and it's time that we did something about our health. So this is what I'm going to do. Come on, do it just for a little while, sweetie.
To learn what Susan has learned and more, visit rawdoctors.com. And now, back to Grassy Roots on Channel 6 TV with Beth Overgaauw and Jim Carey.
Part 2?
Part 2. I have a wonderful looking Florida avocado, the smooth skinned ones. The alligator skin ones. Where'd my other one go?
The
overripe one.
Oh, back in the refrigerator.
Oh, okay.
Some time ago. So this is an alligator skin, and it's a...
Right, this is a Haas avocado from California, and it even tells you that on the label. I'll use this in recipes that I don't have to look at.
Yeah.
In other words, it'll go in a smoothie, it's overripe. It needs to be used up, and I may or may not. If I don't use it up today, it's going out. But I will use them when they get that ripe, okay? Avocados are a challenge because we get these today over at the market, and they felt pretty...
Little solid.
They felt a little soft. I mean, they felt a little soft, but they're hard. I mean, that was chunking through. But, yeah, they're ripe enough. A few more days would be about perfect. But, this is where locally grown produce comes in. And, of course, where you're going to find avocados in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Locally grown, and the closer to home, you're saving on gasoline, you save the environment, you're supporting local farmers, etc. And they're going to be harvested when they're riper. The closer you can get something grown to home, these probably came in from Chile or some other South American country. And who knows how long ago they were picked. But it's still healthier than eating what comes out of a can or what comes out of a frozen TV dinner tray. It's all what I call the transitional ladder. And ideally, when you eat at the top of the transitional ladder, you've grown it yourself at home, grown it with love, with native, with heirloom local seeds, and harvested when ripe in season. And well, that's impossible if you live anywhere outside of the tropics to live that way year round.
Yeah.
So that's why I call it the transitional ladder. That's the best way to eat. Okay. Everything else we do is, well, there's the chain store hamburger things with the grease falling off your elbows. That's way down here at the bottom. I guess really at the bottom would be eating out of a dumpster.
Oh, yeah, that'd be bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything else is better than that, and that's where things like the avocado come in. This one's too hard to show you my little trick where you go like that, you twist it.
And the seed comes out. Almost.
I didn't quite get it in the middle. But it's a fancy thing you do. I won't hit you with the knife.
There you go.
Fancy thing you do, and then you toss it in the trash. Sorry, Fred. I missed the trash. Oh, what do we have here? Guacamole ole is 2 ripe avocados. Okay, we're going to make half of that.
Okay.
Because these avocados aren't the ripest, then I gotta wrestle. No, it's not that bad. I'm making noises.
Are we gonna put them in there?
Let me see what we're gonna do with this one. I'm going to do a chunky dip.
Okay.
So that means I'll take that other pretty bowl you had here a minute ago.
All right.
It's right over here.
Oh, so it is.
Underneath the papaya. Especially since I'm using the back of the cutting board.
Yeah.
And what you can do is take and pour the rest of that tomato in there.
Okay.
Okay, that's my 1 tomato diced.
That's not a spice we're using in this, is it? Okay.
I had a little plastic spatula here. Did that get taken away again?
I don't know. Things have a way of disappearing around here. Now we're going to smash this like you did with the fork again?
Yeah,
Okay,
but
another
if
fork.
you want to start that, here's a fork right here.
Oh, I didn't know if you mixed forks.
It was the same recipe, if you recall.
I meant that fork versus the zucchini fork with the...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. And...
But we don't need to be purist. I've known people that were vegetarians that would not eat anything that even touched a meat dish or was cooked in the same kitchen as a meat dish.
Yeah, kosher vegans. If they walk through the meat department, they won't eat the veggies. Yeah, you can become a food Nazi with this, and I think it's just more important to be aware of what you're putting in your body and to try to eat healthier than you were.
Right.
Over the course of time, everything else will take care of itself. Mm-hmm. Your taste buds will change, your attitude will change, your likes and dislikes in food will change, and you're just going to automatically be eating healthier. I need a 1/4 cup of fresh cilantro. And you know what?
Here's a quarter cup.
I know, but I don't use that much cilantro. I'll put it in here to measure.
Oh, wait a minute. That's not cilantro. That's cumin.
Well, that's cumin.
There's the cilantro.
Oh, okay.
It's
Oh.
already.
I don't use that much cilantro
listening.
either. This is really strong. The cumin is coming. Cilantro is really strong, and I'm going to use a fourth of that recipe.
Okay.
That's probably more than I like. And I thought that was an awful lot of cumin.
And that was organic
Right.
cilantro.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
Yeah, that was organic and fresh cilantro. All right, a quarter teaspoon sounds more like. I'm like, man, that was way too much cumin. Okay.
That's going to make it have a bit of a hotness to it.
Well, but that's also why we're leaving out the cayenne pepper.
Yes.
Okay, that's my personal choice. And sea salt. I don't have any need for salt in my diet anymore. Sea salt is definitely what we call transitional food.
Right.
And for that reason, I'm going to leave it out. And you find it tastes just fine without it. And black pepper, you guys want something spicy in it, right?
Right.
Personally, I don't even use the pepper anymore. But we'll put some pepper in because I've left out all the other spicy things, cayenne pepper and salt. So I'll give you guys a bunch of fresh ground
That's good.
black pepper, organic, como se llamas?
Now you said you wanted this one
Peppercorns.
chunky, but if we wanted it smooth, they have those blender things you can put down in it and puree it.
Yeah, you'd want not in a bowl. They tend to fling.
Oh, well, that one kind doesn't. I've seen a kind that
Oh,
doesn't.
the one I've got on the farm is, it would fling this out of this bowl.
Now, have we got everything in it that makes this what it should be?
That's everything on the recipe book that I was going to put in.
Okay.
In other
So that
words-
means I can taste it.
Yeah. So
I'm always aiming for the taste.
What we put in there were avocado, diced tomatoes. Well, we really much juiced the tomatoes.
Right.
Lemon juice.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Recipes are a guideline, but it pays to read the book. And we're making like a half a recipe. So, yes, you can get out your funny lemon juicer, or you can play macho man.
And squeeze.
No, you don't. I would suggest you don't stir while I'm squeezing.
Okay.
It becomes easier to pick out the seeds.
Oh.
That one got stirred in. We'll find it the other way. There's a crunchy. I got a crunchy.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay, the rest of the seeds are here in my hand still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the juicer, of course, you get more.
Oh, I saw.
There's a seed. Okay, you can get
Saw
it.
two.
You can go diving.
A minute. And there. Now I wonder if
And let's go down the recipe here.
there's one more that I saw.
Avocados, tomato, lemon juice, cilantro, garlic, cumin, cayenne pepper, and sea salt. And that's
we're leaving out
guacamole
the
ole, but I took some of the ole out of it.
Yes. So now I can taste it. Of course, there's no rule that says you can't taste it anytime you want to taste it all throughout the whole process.
We're not doing this for restaurants. We're doing
That's
this
right.
for ourselves and our families. And what they don't know in the living room won't hurt them. And we had some crackers over here.
That's good. That lemon gives it a really refreshing taste.
Yeah, the lemon really spiced it up. That's what it needed. It's great that we're making this today because 2 days from now,
Right.
it'll be perfect. And I'd leave it out, cover it, and they keep the studio cats out of it, cover it. But I think you'll find these avocados soften up a lot and ripen just by sitting out overnight.
It's so good. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming and
Guacamole dip.
teaching us more and expanding all the possibilities with eating the raw vegan foods lifestyle.
This stuff is simple. It's fun. Anybody can do it. And it's cheap. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Want to learn more about a raw living foods lifestyle? There's a wide collection of videos on the subject at ChiDietVideos.com. You can find a video on any subject that suits your interest and your budget, including rare footage of Dr. Ann Wigmore's raw living food lifestyle programs. This knowledge could change your life. Check out ChiDietVideos.com.
One of the best things terrorists could do is just build more fast food restaurants, maybe add another pharmaceutical company, have a couple more infomercials, and encourage people to eat the way they eat now. And everybody's going to be dead in 100 years. They can just walk right in, don't have to do a thing.
Superstars, large fry, Big Mac, Coca-Cola, go on, man. Pick your poison.
1/4 of what you eat keeps you alive, and 3/4 of what you eat keeps your doctor alive.
I used to get high for a living, eating all the bullshit food they sold me.
Cancer rates going up, heart disease going up, stroke going up.
We're poisoning ourselves with highly processed, nutrient-depleted foods.
One of the major problems is what we do to the soil and the air and the water and everything we take in, our food.
We, for whatever reason, decided we're going to spray everything with every kind of pesticide, herbicide, larvicide, fungicide. We decided we're going to genetically modify things we don't know anything about. Can we actually improve what has already been created? And the answer is maybe, but not the way we've been doing it.
If you want to know what's wrong, look down at the table. It's staring back at you.
Think of it as chronic malnutrition, because that's what's going on.
But if we think we're going to go to the doctor and get a pill for everything, we've missed the whole point. We have been taught our whole lives to be consumers of modern medicine, which is pharmaceutical medicine. Good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars.
No, the drug industry has every right to make money, no question about that at all. The ethics, I think, need to be very closely watched.
What the pharmaceutical companies are doing may not necessarily be in the interest of our population.
You can be as sincere, and you can be sincerely wrong.
Approximately 106,000 Americans die from pharmaceutical drugs each year. And these are people who took the medication as directed.
There's a lot more turning to alternatives because what's being done beforehand doesn't work.
There is no magic bullet, but there is a lifestyle change that reverses serious chronic disease. It's cheap, it's simple, it's safe, it's effective.
The solutions are here. They've always been here. Every single person in the world, every culture, every language, every person in the world knows it. You are what you eat. Food does matter.
It's a choice. You don't have to be sick.
For a full-length DVD copy of Food Matters, go to grassyroots.com/food.
When truth rings, curiosity sings. Finding yourself raw curious? Dr. Ann Wigmore's Raw Living Foods Lifestyle Home Study Program has the answers. Check out ChiDiet.com and satisfy your raw curiosity.
When it comes to obesity, it's not about how much you eat, it's what you eat. Learn more with Beth Overgaauw as she chats with Dr. Jim Carey on Grassy Roots TV, airing Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock on Channel 6 television. Getting back to the roots of healthy eating.